sometimes it's a little scary to be you because we're all just trying to fit in. We all want to be seen. We all want to be cool. We all want to be acknowledged. And now in this society, we all want attention. So that's very different. And when you don't really know who you are, how do you be you? That's like the golden question, right? So you have to really look inside, understand what your standards are, what your morals, your ethics are. Ask yourself questions. Do I like this? Is this congruent with who I am? What's my brand? How do I want to be perceived? And all of these things contribute to the confidence that you can bring both to life and into business. And I think it's just like a lifelong work at mastering this.
I definitely agree because you're making it sound like it's super easy. How did you learn how to see yourself and be okay with showing up as yourself?
It's a constant giving of permission. I just had like a major shift of, okay, I'm really going to show up more of who I am. But before that, it's always been kind of people pleasing, keeping myself in the box. Like, okay, these are the labels that I know people assign me, such as bossy and intimidating, cold. I don't necessarily want to be anything different, but I want to be approachable. So it took time to be self aware and understand, why do people see me as bossy, intimidating in this situation? Like, how am I walking into the room? Well, if you're walking in and you're cold, people it shows. But like if you walk in and you're still a bit more open, it's powerful because you're graceful. So it's taking who you are. You might have to tweak it a little bit. Like I do think that everybody has room for improvement. So it's understanding which pieces you like. You can also kind of steal from people along the way. Like if you meet someone and you like the way that they handle an objection, the way they hold themselves in public, figure out what it is that they did and what you liked about it and practice it. Practice it at home. If it's a speaking, practice the words that you use. There's nothing wrong with that. And I don't think anybody talks about how to get from point A to point B. It's like you're just supposed to like have this transformation and show up differently and better. I mean, it takes time and practice and probably some people you really trust along the way who can help you and give you some feedback. That ended up being long-winded, but that's how I got there.
It
Sorry.
wasn't long with it. It took the right amount of time just to answer that question because one thing I learned about answering different questions and different perspectives is that you have different memories come into play. Like you have different topics, different settings, different past experience, and it's helping you gather the answer to this question. So it's not long winded. It was answered in the perfect breath, as you would say, because now you're able to really pinpoint everything that you want to say. So
I
that takes
appreciate that.
time.
Thank you for saying that. See, you just gave me permission to give longer answers. So thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a process. 'Cause when I had went through my divorce, I thought I was alone. I thought I didn't. I thought I was the only one going through a particular problem. But then when I got around other people, it was like, oh, I'm not alone. I'm just not around the right people. As you
Yes.
just explained that when you gave yourself permission to see yourself, to be yourself, and to show up as yourself, it takes time to really get good at something. It takes time to actually understand that you're developing a skill. When you first started in real estate, what was the most difficult thing for you to really understand about the industry?
I mean, bless real estate school, but they don't teach you about timelines, documents, how to negotiate. There's no street smart in that school. It is straight up like literal shit you'll never use. And that is the hardest part, is because you're supposed to have all this knowledge and you want to be coming out of school like equipped and ready to go for the real world, but you're not because they didn't teach you the right things. So you really are almost starting from scratch. It's like school of hard knocks once you get your real estate license, because nobody even tells you you have to go interview brokerages. You kind of just like get a real estate license, and through social media, you think, oh, I'm just going to go make $1 million. I'm going to have a show. I'm going to have 6 million followers on Instagram and I'm going to be famous. It doesn't work like that. Like not even close. So yeah, I think learning the grit of real estate was a huge hurdle in the beginning, because you kind of just think, okay, I'm here. Wait, where's the business? You don't realize how hard you have to work to get it.
Where's the customers? Where's the profit? Where's everything? Yeah, yeah. You just made me remember when I was in California serving the Marine Corps. I wanted to get my real estate license in California, but then I bought all three books. It was I don't even remember the three books, but the books, you know the size of the books. The books was big, was
They're
huge
huge.
for nothing. I got them books. I read a couple pages. I said, yeah, I'm probably not gonna get my real estate license. I don't think it's for me.
Yeah, it's a lot of information, and the only thing you need to know is the size of an acre. That's really the only thing I took. Maybe easements is the other one if I had to choose two. But yeah, that whole school. But I think a lot of places are like that. Like you go to school, and we all know experience comes from life, from real situations. And that's why we talk to people who are older and wiser, and doesn't even have to be an age older. It can just be they've had more life experience. So they're just older in life. And that's who you go to when you need help. You go to the people who know.
Mm. The way you just put that was different. I've never heard it put like that. You can just be older in life because of your experience.
Yeah, somebody who's sheltered. Think about what they don't really know. And then you think about somebody who's lived a completely different life. We'll call it a hard life for lack of a better term. I mean, the person with hard life like knows how rough it can be. Maybe it's because they grew up poor or abuse or right, but the person who's sheltered and is handed everything, they think the world is a really nice place. And I don't want to say they get duped or fooled, but they tend to look at everything because everyone goes through life with projection. So you look at life through your own lens. And if you're sheltered and you've had a great, easy, cushy life, then you kind of think everyone else has. So when you start to realize that people have had awful lives, I'm sure it's hard to understand, like, oh, that's how you grew up? Oh, okay. Right. So like they just have so much more experience in life and the sheltered person doesn't. And it's no fault of theirs. They can't help it. That's how they grew up.
Mm. So you have to be willing to try things to learn something new in order for you to gain the experience to get to the next step.
Yes. Would you agree?
I think so. I think so.
I'm curious
I,
what you think about this because you're liking this topic.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Because it's definitely it's it might seem easier on being on the outside looking in, but when you actually are on the inside doing the work, making the calls, following up, speaking to people, learning how to sell, learning how to communicate, it's a lot. And when you're inside of it, you don't you're so tunnel vision, you're focused, and you're not really necessarily seeing like the amount of work that you're putting in for yourself, or the skills that you're building, how you're growing, how you're developing. Whereas the person is on the outside looking in, they're seeing your success, they're seeing your wins, they're seeing what you are accomplishing rather than what you have failed at and what you have not been good at.
That is so well spoken. And it's part of it is because we don't talk about the losses, we talk about the wins. And when you only talk about the wins, of course, everybody's going to see you as successful. But unfortunately, talking about losses can come across as victimy. It can come across as negative. And we're in such a, mental health, positive, be happy culture right now that speaking about the negatives kind of comes across as like maybe you want a little bit of attention or validation. Maybe that's not what you mean to put out there, but unfortunately, there is a fine line between sharing a story for validation and sharing a story to actually help people. And so I think people tend to stay away from the negative stuff for a variety of reasons.